I had a friend which set up Mark Zuckerberg avatar during the whole like the metaverse craze, where everybody was talking about the metaverse, and they took a photo scan of him in the thing, and they made an avatar out of it, and I was like, yo, I need to get a hold of this. I want to do the faces on it. I ended up doing a bunch of great stuff on that avatar, and so I have
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor. We got one hell of a guest, and that is
Hash. Hello.
Hello, thank you for joining us, Ash. It's a pleasure to meet you. I saw some of your
Likewise.
posts on
Yash.
Twitter with the whole what you're up to, but I'll let you say what that is. But that looks really sick, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What do you? Yeah. Yeah. I do. I'm Hash. I'm a 22-year-old student in electrical engineering, and I really enjoy doing a bunch of stuff on the side, and that includes avatar creation, and that led to me learning how to do face tracking for avatars, and I ended up cracking some of the technical challenges that were associated with selling some stuff, and ended up sharing that with the world, and I kept on working on stuff I liked. So
Oh wow.
that was one of the things that I do.
Oh,
I also did like recently built had a friend that got expressions working with brain tracking. Like he would think like, or would perform an expression, and it would be able to detect whichever expression he was doing. And I saw that I was doing the faces on the side. I was like, why not mush it together and do something that puts the two together and be able to control any avatar with it. And so I ended up building a little module that got a little attention on Twitter.
oh wow. Brain tracking and face
Nice.
tracking sounds like an amazing combination. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really interesting technical bits about it, because like with regular face tracking, like you get cameras pointed at your face and at your eyes and your eyebrows, and you gotta analyze all of that video, and be able to guess like expressions based off of that. So there's a bunch of challenges with like the cameras needing to be like exposed properly, and also like just the processing power that's required is just like a lot for just guess expressions. And so with the brain tracking stuff, like you just have like you need four floats, basically four different like signals that can switch between 0 to 1, and get that into like a machine learning model, and be able to guess some of the things. So like even for the complexity of the headset, and you need to make sure that you have the right position for the cameras and stuff. That's really important with regular face tracking. With like the brain tracking stuff, you need to have good contact. But once you have them, it's quite easy. Well, on top of that, with a headset that like kind of touches your face, you already get some of those contacts for free. So it's quite interesting, even like from the technical bit, and also like the fact that like you don't even have, like, it just guesses based on what you told it smiling looks like, and that's also pretty nice.
Oh, so let me ask a question. Does it run on the same thing that chilloutcharles uses, may I ask, with the Muse 2 and that whole program that's on the biosensing group?
Yep, 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 yep. I'm actually tapping into that because that's what my friend was using, and I was like, it makes sense to like not rebuild the wheel, if it works, it
Hmm.
works. And so it's like it's more of an extension of that, instead of like its own thing. Even though its own thing could be like, this is more of a like sort of prototype. You just got it working and it looks cool and gets people excited. That's really nice. Like I on Blue Sky, I posted about it, and there's some MIT teachers that started following my account, and I was like, oh, that's like it's like not that's not what I expected,
Yeah.
because it makes for it make I guess it makes for a good educational thing. Like, it's really visual, like you really see what you're doing, type of thing. So it's nice to get that. But yeah, it is very much so like an extension of Brainflows into VRChat, which has all of the machine learning stuff and all of the interfacing with like all of the different BCI that you can get on your head.
Hmm. So does the face tracking? How does the face tracking thing work? Does it work similar to what Charles showed us with? You had a brain state. It's either depending on the brain state, it activates animation. Does that work the same with face tracking? Would you mind explaining how it works a little bit?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's based on. It's so my friend Twidge, which had the idea at first, ended up um uh basically training actions with just doing like basic facial expressions, and he
Hmm.
ended up getting good results from that. And he just used these actions. So he trained like 5 or 6 of them at a time, and he was able to get quite a few things. It takes a little bit of time to converge. So it's not like super one-to-one, but like compared to not having anything and just like puppeting stuff with the fingers, it is already like a huge step up. You're not having to go through an abstraction like learning layer. You're just like, this is what my state is right now.
Hmm. Now, is it how accurate is it in terms of like, do you have to think about the facial animation, or just kind of switch the face based on what emotion and stuff you're on?
It apparently varied from between the different models that my friend has been trying.
Hmm.
It also like apparently over time, it tends to drift. So like if you trained the model a while back, and you may have like to really like sort of put yourself in that space for that expression to pop up.
Hmm.
But for when we had it going, it felt like he was. I mean, he told me he was just like doing the thing, just worked. I'll be honest, like I don't have any hardware to test it, which is like a bit silly because I made the thing. But it's like, um, but I'm really considering doing stuff like yeah, I don't really know how much of it is to thing like my is to how much of it is like actually like thinking about it, whether like compared to actually just performing the action.
Hmm.
Uh, but from what I got from my friend, it's that it was pretty seamless. Like you just the eye closing worked really well. The rest of the expressions was well, it depended on the training really. Like it's just how much time you put into it and
Okay.
stuff like that.
Alrighty. Well, before we go too far into that conversation, I would like to ask you what even got you into VRChat and VR to begin with? And how did you get started with work on
Uh-huh.
avatars or even in this project to begin with?
Well, I watched. I may or may have not have watched a few podcasts. So can you be a bit more? Can you be a bit more specific about like really VR in particular? Like what was
Yeah,
my
VR
like
and
first
VRChat.
interaction with it?
Yeah, both. What got you into a headset, and then what got you into VRChat? And then from that, what led to your avatar creation and then the project?
Gotcha. I So in 2016, I was on my laptop in the morning before my parents woke up because I wasn't supposed to have it, and I was on Steam and there was the trailer for the Vive that popped, and I was like, this is amazing. Like I can't get anything of that right now because my 850M laptop isn't gonna cut it. And
Mm.
so I ended up getting myself a better computer, and I think the year after that, I got myself a Rift CV1, and with the three bases, so that I could get the good room scale tracking in the controllers, and yeah, that was an experience. I didn't I so I had the first like VR wow moments, and then I sort of let it down for a bit, and came back to it when Boneworks released, and
Mhm.
ever since then I've been really invested into it, and like I really enjoyed some of Zulubo's games where with the Vertigo series, and ended up getting in touch with him and talking to him during the lockdown, sort of pushed me into learning how to do a little bit of Unity, and so I had like it was the first time I did anything like creative. Before that, I'm like an electrical engineer at heart, and so that was like a good venture for expression and like being able to put people in the space that like you have made and like you crafted all the interactions and things that was really rewarding and from that I started I didn't really get like I tried VRChat in 2018 when I had my headset and I didn't really get it at the time. I was like, why people are just running around like, you know, it was like going on Times Square is just like you got a bunch of people that are doing a bunch of crazy stuff and like you don't really associate with with any of it. You just like sort of just hanging out and and so I ended up meeting up with an African like South African collective which hosted some of the concert for Jean-Michel Jarre in VRChat, and my friend joined me. He was like, we have this thing like we're doing like only 2 times, and it's gonna start in 30 minutes. Do you mind like joining? And I was just like hanging out in VRChat and just ended up joining that and like having my mind fully blown by the mix of like music and art. That was great.
Quick question.
Sorry.
You said South
for it.
African. Did you
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
Is It in Soda World?
I don't really remember the name of the group. I'm still in the Discord server, so it should be pretty easy for me to find it. But it was I was just hanging out in VCAT when I met them, and
Uh-huh.
it was at first is the group that Rick crew, like it was part of.
Oh,
He had some stuff on his
yeah. Meta
yeah.
Rick. Yeah, that's Is It in Soda World. They're actually a really dope group of people. I know you're talking about. Also, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't connected to them in a while, but I still really like fondly cherish like the moments where they got me they got me into it and like I started getting it and like having just feeling in the same space as people and doing like sharing creation like so easily like just being able to click a button like put the headset on and have like anyone anywhere to like just uh basically try what you created and give you feedback on it. It's like and with the avatar stuff it's portable too, so like so like you can go anywhere and show people like hey like I made this thing or like and it's really fulfilling like personally to just be able to like express yourself and have it be able to be experienced by by many and also like people that you wouldn't have met otherwise that sort of give you insight into what you're creating. It's nice.
Mm. So from your time with Soda World, when in the beginning of your start of VRChat, from there, what led you to avatar creation and the project you're involved with? What was the journey between those 2 points?
I ended up finding it was the Metaverse crew. I just figured I ended up scrolling through my Discord servers. It was the Metaverse crew. Awesome bunch of people. They did some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but sorry, I was
Oh,
I was searching for my thing. Sorry, I'm sorry. What's the question you wanted to?
oh no.
I was like I was
So
really focused. I really
you're
wanted.
referring to Meta Rick in them. Yeah. There's the both. I think both Is It and Meta Rick are a part of the same little friend circle, I believe. But yeah, what from that instance with the Metaverse crew to now, what led you to avatar creation and the project you're in?
I see. Well, I met someone that was I met Pasta, which now does avatars like sells avatars, and she didn't do she used to do commissions for people, and I it was really nice to like be. It was at the time that Fizzbones came out, and I was
Mm.
like, this is like it used to be like I don't know. I was is still I'm not like really like fulfilled by the levels of interactions you can do in worlds, but the jump to Fizzbones with avatars was like night and day. The so anyway, I ended up building stuff with Fizzbones, and like that really got me into like, wow, you can do a bunch of like really cool stuff with logic and things, and so I ended up going down that pipeline, buying avatars, making my own with Vroids, and meeting people. And so I was in public instances and a lot, and I was hanging out in the pug like almost every night. And a friend of mine, Cobalt 6C, joins in, and he had looked like something was like not so right about his face, and I was so used to like the default VRChat eye look and the things that, so you could have like blinking. I saw blinking animations before, but I never saw like full facial like tracking thing going, and so that was really like a wow. And so I ended up in so researching on some of that, and and I saw what Echo the Nico was doing on Twitter while she was doing commissions, and I was like, this is amazing, but like I don't know anything about sculpting in Blender. Like this felt like so discouraging. Like it looked like the task was so huge. Like there was only a single tutorial that was like 3 hours long, and it's like I'm just gonna keep on working on avatar stuff, and it's gonna be it. And I saw that she had like cameras glued in Valve Index, and I was like, wait, you can do that? And so I sort of searched it up and ended up finding out about iTrek VR, where they do DIY eye tracking with like off the shelf hardware that you can buy and build your own eye tracker for your headset. And so it ended up coinciding. English is hard.
It's
End up
okay.
touching with me starting electrical engineering school, yeah, like basically my master's, and it was coming from a 2-year degree where it was like a lot of practical like build things, and going in a space that was more like seated at a classroom and still doing some practical stuff. Most of it was spent in class learning about the thing and doing a lot of math and physics, which I was not used to. And so I needed a venture to express myself also technically, like being able to make sure I don't forget the skills that I built building my own little gadgets before. And so iTrek VR was like enabled me to do that, and I ended up building my own set and buying a Vive facial tracker at the time, which like the original one, which they discontinued, and built my own set. And as when I pressed the order button for my tracker, I was like, I have a week until this comes up, and I better have something going. So I got learning. I like sort of forced me into, gave me a little challenge to learn to get something working in Blender. My friend Cobalt helped me test it and figuring out what felt good. And so after I got my tracker, I was able to iterate like much faster to like basically know what feels good, what looks good, how the different blend shapes sort of interconnect with each other, and so building onto that, I met a friend called Jules, which was doing commissions, avatar commission work, and she sort of pushed me like into taking commissions, because there was like maybe 3 of us that were like accepting commissions at the time, so it was like a really small set of people, and I ended up posting in there and getting a few commissions from that, and I saw that people like Jerry were doing they called it DLC at the time, but I called them add-ons, and now everybody calls them add-ons now. So I don't know, DLC, like something that you add on to an avatar and that adds face tracking to it. And so I asked him about like how he went about like sharing his stuff, because like you can't obviously just share the model, because that'd be illegal. Like, that's not your property, right? So and the blend shapes are like part of the face mesh. So if you want to share it, you need to have something that associates the modification that you've made and the base mesh. And
Mm.
so we're using the thing that's used in like how do you say that, in frick version control, where in Git, for example, like you have a thing that makes a difference between like one file and another and stores that, and then like only the difference is sent to a central server.
Mm.
And so we used the same sort of technology in that and applied it to avatars. And so what he was doing like .bat files, which is like Windows scripting, like the Windows scripting stuff. And that didn't allow me to have the Japanese characters, for example, in my thing, because the way the string for the path to where the thing was stored couldn't have spaces or non ASCII characters. And so I ended up building my own thing in Python and open sourced it so that people could do their own stuff. Like I have done the groundwork for myself. Why not share it with people? And so that ended up solving a bunch of problems for a lot of people that were just doing the Blender side of things, where they were just sculpting and setting stuff up in Unity. They did like the sharing was its entire work. And so I ended up solving issues for Echo, which like inspired me in the first place. Which is like really humbling to have someone that you look up to use your technology and be credited in that work.
Oh, quick question. What was that project called? The one that Neko used and that you created?
It used to be called just face tracking distribution tools, and now I call it just distribution tools, because it can be applied to any file in Unity, basically. So if you're doing like I'm using it for face tracking, but if someone were to like take an avatar, optimize it, do some modifications onto it, and wants to sell that, they can just do that. So it wouldn't make sense for an outfit, for example, because you just like there's modular tools that came up that just makes that life so much easier. And so but for anything that has to touch the original data, it ends up being really useful for people. So I haven't seen any big uses outside of making sure the person has the avatar. So it's like, for example, like someone in the VRCFT Discord made a robot, sort of a robot Android version of a popular furry avatar, and ended up using my tool to share it, because he used the original data, but couldn't sell it because it was original data. So he ended up doing the difference, which worked in this case, and worked where the original avatar creator was okay with. So yeah, it's so hashes distribution tools. It's what it's called.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt your story. I was just curious for those who heard the
It's fine.
Distribution thing. It's like, what's that? And just like ask the question.
No, it's good. It's good. Like I keep on rambling, but if you want to be more involved, like feel free to like.
Oh,
just you're like.
I don't want to
interrupt me,
stop
like,
you
it's-
when
it's
you're on
fine.
a
Like,
roll. I'm going to be honest with you. Never apologize for going on tangents. I enjoy them. Raptor and I both do. So please don't apologize for that. I just wanted to interrupt you a little bit to get to know what that distribution thing you created is. So please continue your story from the distribution tools to what you're doing now. Please.
yeah. So I ended up solving my things, so like selling my own add-ons, and I needed to have some way to communicate with people what the thing even was. So because it's like it's you just see a face move and you're like, this just the avatar? Is this like? So I had to make advertisement videos that sort of showed what the thing was, how it could be used, and put in really my I really like to put an emphasis on sort of sort of do a little scenario, and like have a nice world so that people can see put them in the shoes of the avatar, and being like, this is like, or like sort of associate the avatar and the environment with the sort of expressions I'm doing. And so acting out the avatar as well was also like important. So I ended up doing a bunch of videos to show how stuff was done, and that inspired a few creators to like be like, hey, like this is actually they might have thought it was cool and started doing the same thing and used my tools to sell their own things and so I ended up doing some more commission work, doing some things that got me connected with a few people in VRChat and ended up if you want to go to the brain tracking stuff, it ended up meeting Twitch through the Sadly It's Bradley meetup weekly meetup groups, and so I've like I can't overstate how good that like little part of community is. I this is the place I look forward to go every week, and it's really nice. A bunch of people interested about like VR tech and advancements in creation in general. So that's so I'm at Twitch through that and ended up doing the brain tracking stuff that way.
Oh, wow. So you've been up to quite a lot since you ventured with Metaverse. It sounded like once you came into the platform, you just acclimated very quickly.
Yeah, I'm yeah, I don't have how do you say that? I don't do like really long sessions, but they really mean a lot whenever I do. Yeah, I try. I really like the space. It's like it's a really a place for me to express myself and talk to people that they ended up being dear to me and it's like that I also ended up meeting some of them meeting in real life and then just having a cool winter break with
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, we went to Hungary and like having it ended up to have me having the best curry in my life and spending some good times in the in the public bathing places. So that was really nice. Like being able to spend some time with people you associate the voice with, but not really the face. And then like seeing them in person and just seeing why they picked like the avatar, it really like you sort of see sort of gives you a better insight in how they want to represent themselves and how they want to
Mm.
be seen, and it's really that was really like nice. I have a little story about that. Like one of
Mm.
the first people that I met in public places was was just I was just hanging out in the treehouse in the shade, and it was at the time where mods weren't banned still, and so the thing that I did at the time was go on the treehouse in the shade in a public instance by Christmas time, so there was like some people just joining randomly, and we just go through avatars with like the avatar search feature that a mod allowed, and so just go through avatars and figuring out what you can do in there. And a friend of mine like just sorry ended up ended up like that I met and that they it was one of my first experiences talking to someone that like didn't associate with the gender they were born with,
Mm.
and that was like it's like you hear about people, but actually like talking and interacting with people is like sort of opens you a better understanding of things, and it's like it's super nice to see that people sort of take the like that it offers them like a really nice place to just be able to express themselves the way they want to and sometimes understand more about themselves and being like, hey, like I feel more comfortable in this, and I might or might not mean something about what how I feel, and so it's really nice to see places like that. So like anyway, like it's super nice to see that people get to express themselves the way they want to, and like only limited by the tools of general 3D like software and technical knowledge is it's quite something. I really enjoy that platform. That's like
Mm.
really gives me a space.
Mm. So I have an interesting question for you, at least interesting to me. Of all the things you've done, what have been some of the harder things to learn, and how did you overcome that?
Um, you mean
for like avatar
I
creation,
had
VR,
to,
face tracking, stuff like that?
yeah, hardest, I'd say like the figuring out the sculpting in Blender and like learning that and becoming proficient with it
Mm.
was a big challenge. But since I had a background in electrical and doing some coding stuff for microcontrollers, for me the process was more sort of easier to tackle when it came to like building the scripts for the distribution and stuff like that, where it could have been a harder challenge for someone else.
Mm.
So yeah, I'd say either the Blender, like figuring out Blender, just the menus, the horrendous menus that still end up being changed every few iterations. But I'd say that and like sort of, I guess learning more about myself and like just what I like and what like sort of uh what I wanna build and what I feel like doing and like managing a lot of emotions. That was what is the hardest thing to
Mm.
that I had to do in here. Like that I learned from here. So
Okay. So, Miss, what were some of your first projects here in VRChat when you decided to start building and creating things?
well, I watched one of Fia's tutorial on VR avatar creation,
Hmm.
and that got me started pretty easy. Like being able to have like a nice editor and being able to export that and just pretty much click the upload button in VRChat and have something that works.
Mm.
That was really like fulfilling, and so that was like one of the first thing I've done. And after that, I figuring out toggles, figuring out logic in the VR, like the Unity animator, figuring out a bunch of stuff, and now we're here.
Mm. So,
Uh,
for a lot of the Avatar, Unity, and Blender stuff, how much is applicable from an electrical engineering standpoint? And what were some of the challenges getting into that as for avatars and face tracking from your background?
well, it's more of a like it all feels like big limitations, like needing to use like a node based stuff. Some people like it more, but it is not as suited for logic in like a lot of things. So it was like learning a different things, but it also helped me like sort of lay things in a more like sort of understand more what I am doing. Like I started doing like on the school side, I started doing schematics for when I was doing circuits, and I was more into the programming side of things, and so being able to lay down the logic of a circuit into something, like I ended up getting the skills that I got from the VRChat animator of all things sort of helped me to like, hey, like this is what like this bit in like this drawing
Mm.
does this thing. I feel like I went on a tangent and didn't really answer your question. Um,
Please don't
could you repeat
apologize
it?
for tangents. I asked you from your
Oh, that's good.
background in electrical engineering, how much was easy to get into in terms of like the Unity and Blender side of things, and how did you get into it from that kind of standpoint? Was it easy? Was it hard? What's different or similar from an electrical engineering standpoint? I guess from when you first started.
I I was when I first started, it was like getting to go from like embedded like C stuff where you really know how much like you don't have to rely on any big library to like learn things like to run things and so going from like the really small embedded stuff to like C sharp with like the big garbage like collector and a bunch of like really big abstractions. That was a big challenge going from here from the electrical like embedded stuff to learning about like object oriented stuff and going from that to VRChat was something different to like have that approach. I'm sorry. I just had lunch.
It's
I,
okay.
it's,
It's okay, man. Don't
it's
worry
gonna be
about it.
it's gonna But yeah, so it was like the main challenge was like going from embedded stuff to like sort of low level where you know everything that is going to be running to like maybe they'll still run in like however many time and this will sort of do what I want. Going from like I know the nanosecond at which that signal is going to go high at like maybe in like 20 milliseconds this will happen. This was like something to a big challenge for me the learn.
Okay. So from a little bit from you were saying prior to answering the question that what you're doing helps you in with electrical engineering. Were you able to actually extract that much out of your hobby here in order to help you explain things better in the real world with what you do outside of VRChat?
Yeah, I'm it's more it taught me a lot about like communicating about what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have the best, most advanced, most beautiful drawing, most beautiful like avatar, most beautiful system, and most beautiful like code, and if people don't see it, they're not gonna it's gonna people aren't gonna no one's gonna know about it. So like learning about that and like the sort of the marketing aspect of like hey like if you want stuff to be if you want people to see you got to put yourself out there and talk about it. So that was one of the big things, and I think also sort of I think I'm having a good time sort of merging the two together. Like I do a bunch of projects where I did like a squishy ball controller during like a class, and so it was like a just a regular ball with pressure sensors on them, and so streaming that information over to like a Godot and like a game that I wrote in Godot where you'd have like a little slime that you could like squish and contort in the different ways. And so being able to like sort of mix this stuff together and sort of take advantage of both to have something that's like not just a tech demo, but like something where you can also express yourself in the way like for example like the slime when I squished it like I made the eyes go like a little like to the sides when you squish it in a specific direction and another, and so being able to put like a little bit of personality into that like was so it helped me a lot to like sort of express myself in like find ways in which I have this technical like brief that I need to get done, but what can I do with it that actually like takes advantage and makes sense to people? Like how can I make this like actually have an impact in the world? Because I feel like that's what's important with when you're doing technology. Like you need to what are you doing it for? And I think I'm doing it personally. Like my answer to that question is I want to make people's life better. Like I want people to look at that video and be like, "Then like that put a smile on my face," or that makes me feel angry that someone like made a prefab that lets people mug and like have sparks coming out of their chin when they're when they're mewing. So it's like I want people to feel something, and I feel like tech and art sort of meet in that section.
Mm. So, with, for example, the slime project that you did for your engineering, what was people's responses to some of the stuff you were doing? And when people ask you what you're doing here in VR chat, what is the general way you explain it and their response to it?
I see. I feel like in VR chat, with the way I present my stuff, I'm seen as like, oh my god, big technical guru. Like, oh my god, I solved those problems. Like, but when I go into school during the day, I'm more seen as of the artsy. Like, oh, he's doing the faces. He's not doing like, or he's not building a processor in like VHDL. He's not like, so I feel like I have to present it in a sort of the business way where like I have to say like, hey, like I run a shop where I end up doing my things and ends up being more accepted by people. And so from that vector, I end up like talking about the more creative aspects
Mm-hmm.
and like the co-presence of VR, like being able to like share the same space and sort of try to describe that as much as I can, even though it's not really possible until you slap the headset on and experience it for yourself. Like try to describe that to people, because like you probably know, like when you talk to when you talk about VR to people that don't know, it's always a little hard. So it's the responses are either like, oh my god, he's the guy that spends most of his time in his room, like my mom, for example. Like she's like, you should go talk to people, and I'm like, mom, this is exactly what I do. And and she's like, but no, but like people aren't just like video or like audio on a or text on a screen. It's their facial expressions. And she lists me all the things that I do in here. It's like the facial expressions. It's like being able to share the same space and like seeing their body language. And I'm like, and every step I'm nodding like, yes, mom, yes. Yeah, yes. So yeah, it's it differs from people. I have some friends that I was able to convince to buy headsets, and they really got it, and they get in here every so often and enjoy. And one of my friends actually that I met on Echo VR back in the day, like logged on not too like I think 2 days ago, and we ended up bringing him to a club, and he was like, I didn't know this was even possible. Like, this is this is amazing. And he had like a great time, and he logged back on the next day, and I wouldn't be surprised if he logs back on today.
Oh, wow. Thank you for explaining all that. I appreciate hearing that answer from people, especially those who are like in college settings, like you with the electrical engineering, hearing the whole how do different people take the hobby that we do, especially since it's not everyone gets it. It's kind of a weird thing where you kind of slap on a 5 to 10 pound hunk of plastic electronics and you're off seeing crazy shit. And it's like, how do you explain that without seeming like a madman?
Yeah, yeah, and it's also like the way VR was originally advertised. It was like, since Valve and Oculus were the big players, and like there was the main target was like gamers. Like it was like you are going to play games with this, and you are going to feel really immersed, and everything's going to be reactive, and it's going to be so nice. But when you look at how people use VR, it's like I think on Steam, like I don't know how much percentage of the people that are spending time in Steam VR is like the ratio, but I think at the time when I had Steam VR Home still opened, they were always like VRChat at the top of the multiplayer thing. And
Mm.
like I think like a lot of people just use it to just talk to people and use that in social setting. And so people usually end up like trying a few experiences, and they're like, this is cool, but like if they're not into gaming before, they're or like even gamers sometimes don't get the appeal of it. I'd say like tech people see the immersion, and they're like, oh, this is cool. Like you could train people in this, and like you see the gamer stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, but it's not like it's not. I don't get like triple A's every 6 months like I do on desktop. I'm just gonna spend my time on desktop and have different experiences there, and you
Mm.
can't really convince like either. And so like the tech people just get the headset on, and they don't get to see the social like aspect of it. and
Mm.
and like it really got me like legitimately like hundreds of hours before I was able to be like, oh yeah, this is the shit. Like this is why people, this I get it. Like it really took me like a music event like that was organized by amazing people, and like being able to share the same space as my friends, and like just associating with this, and it took me a long time. And so like I think that's one of the big challenges, and I don't think Facebook are doing like they're like pushing for their own platform isn't gonna like solve that issue, even
Mm.
though as much as they want to.
Mm. So I'm going to ask you a bit of a question. You may have answered a little bit, please. And we'll trying to elaborate a little bit more on the point. The music venue went that convinced you to come and stay here. What about that event or the event made you that sold you on this? What about it made you want to stay? That interested you so much?
I guess I'm say that with the like 6 months during lockdown where I did a bunch of Unity like exploration. I was really interested about reactive audio
Mm.
and like going like seeing Celeste's implementation of it like with Fmod and seeing like how people blend between the different tracks and do dynamic mixing and stuff like that really like resonated with me. Like I do drumming on the side too, so
Ooh.
I was really drawn by that and have friends that are still going and gigging places and so music has always been a big part of my life and so seeing like reactive like a full world that's like reacting to music and also like the music being affected by that too and having everybody during that event everybody had to wear the same avatar and so it was like you didn't know if you turned nameplates off you just like everybody was the same sort of put you in that like sort of communion with people and so like sort of I don't know that was really nice and also the visuals were really cool and so seeing all of that plus like being able to the after party I think that's the after party that sort of got me where we're on a rooftop and we just talked with friends and it was everything melted away. I thought I was in this space. I was here, and
Mm.
and I don't know if it's like this stimuli beforehand that sort of loosened me to like be more present in the space.
Mm.
But yeah, at that time I was like, whoa, this is like cool. Like I gotta stick here.
Oh, well, thank you for explaining that. I'm glad to hear your side of things. What kind of sold you on that? That was really awesome to hear. And there's a group I'd like to suggest to you if you're still into like audio active and world affecting stuff like clubs and stuff. Rift VR does
Senior
really
Labs,
dope. No, Rift VR. It's a VR
Rift
chat
VR.
club it's a club here in VRChat that is between Aztec Angelo and V that does the shader stuff, but the whole world's got like effects that happen in the world, shader effects. The whole world reacts. It's like on asteroids in space. It's one of the coolest places, I would say, if you're into that kind of stuff. Would definitely suggest going.
I'll definitely send me a link. I'd be super down to check that out. That's the thing. Like time zone still exists. It's the one thing that really sucks.
Mm.
I had my first like quote unquote like what feels like mainstream clubs like in VR chat like the sort of the idea of joining a group and being a part of that group and going to events. Sort of that first experience I had was with Shelter and it was I was going out with friends. We had like we went through the equivalent of the state like the local state and we came back at 3 a.m. I wasn't feeling sleepy and just ended up going there and having a great time and so see like there's a bunch of really cool events that I wish could attend like all of them and but like so much I can do if I want to sleep to be awake during during engineering school.
Fair.
I yeah, I really wish though like when I have like weeks off during or like during the summer break I go to the Gremlin sleeping schedule and I stay up till 8 in the morning and remove the headset and the sunlight's hitting and go to bed and just spend all of my time at really cool clubs,
Hmm.
Shelter, Concrete, you know, fucking uh, yeah, it's great.
So I'm gonna ask you another question as well to dive into your creative aspects. What have been some of your favorite avatar projects you've worked on? Whether it's like for face tracking specifically or to making a certain model, what have been some of your favorites things you've worked on in that aspect?
Favorite things I've worked on in that aspect. I think like building little gimmicks that sort of fit into an avatar is really what I really like to do.
Hmm.
Um, I like for example, like if people oh my hip tracker is going. But I have this little phone here where I can keep people interested if they're not paying attention and stuff like that. That sort of it fits into the avatar and there's sort of little like gamey, like meme aspect to it. Like I really enjoy doing those. So I think like I had a friend which set up Mark Zuckerberg avatar during the whole like the metaverse craze, where everybody was talking about the metaverse, and they took a photo scan of him in the thing, and they made an avatar out of it, and I was like, yo, I need to get a hold of this. I want to do the faces on it. I ended up doing a bunch of great stuff on that avatar, and so I have since I'm a real lizard, I can catch flies, and I put AudioLink on the Meta logo, and I put like Meta, because
Oh
the
my
Spanish people are
God.
gonna be like Meta mis huevos en tu boca, because that's what you do with Meta. And ended up doing a bunch of stuff. Like I can have like so doing those meme avatars like people just use in public spaces is what is the most fulfilling. Like the little hand puppets. Like I can have the better version of myself.
Don't,
Like,
Ash, don't go there, because then Lionel use me as a puppet. Oh my God, no.
Okay.
No.
there's a trope in the bread community, is that if I get your face, you're definitely ending up in Skibidi toilet. That's what happens to people.
Please add Raptor to Skibidi toilet. Please.
Thanks.
You will.
Thanks. Love you to death. That's
If you get me,
love you to death.
if you want to, and you get me the model, I'll do it for you, man. I'm gonna do it.
Oh, great.
I'm a skibidi the heck out of you.
God.
I have a friend. I have a friend on there that has that wears Miku avatars all the time, and he has a dedicated Miku channel, and I ended up he ended up using my public Miku avatar at the time, and for the 1st of April, I changed the avatar to something that like was gonna he was not going to expect when switching into it, and so I ended up having those like really like shit posty like god like brain dead jokes, and I ended up doing a bunch of stupid stuff. So doing the meme stuff is what is really like fulfilling me, and just being able to shit post and like it's great because I'm using like technology that nobody is using to do like a motherfucking skibidi toilet, and it's like there's a bit of me that just it's like this is great. Like the part of me that just like brain rots on Twitter is fulfilled. I
don't blame you. The Skibidi toilet meme was pretty funny.
It is. I mean, it sort of was so unfunny that it became funny. It's like it's one of those things where sometimes like the Among Us meme, like it just didn't have like, it was just like fucking annoying for like a week, and then everybody sort of like gets the hive mind sort of takes over, and like it becomes funny again. and it's also cool because like VRChat is also like it came out of this, like the little red guys, like the knuckles, like they're like everything out of here exploded because of like silly like memes that people had the expression to do, and it just works. It's great.
It sounds great. Oh, so I'm surprised, Raptor, so far you haven't asked your famous question.
Well, I think he's already done most of it right now. Ash, what's the craziest thing you ever saw in VR? I think I just saw it now, and this early in the morning.
I am I am the craziest thing you'll ever see in VR. No. It's a bit megalomaniac, but I don't know. I guess like, yeah, meme avatars were the greatest thing to ever hit this platform, I think. Like people, I posted I posted a prefab not too long, the first ever face tracking prefab where like instead of being an avatar, it's something you add onto any avatar, where you can do something that reacts to face tracking. And so I did like a mewing thing where if I mew and I put my finger to my jaw, it puts sparks, and it's like the reaction to people to that was was like either like I fucking despise this, this is awful, get this off of my screen, or like this is great. And like having the different responses from that, like people like this space is built on this. Like you're not, it is not going away. Like you're getting your shit posts. You're doing.
So, what made you start the mewing thing? Because to this morning I was scrolling through Twitter saying, "What are people up to?" And I saw the mewing thing. I was like, "Why? Just why? What started that thing to begin with?"
Because I can. No, I am. I had this. There's this really high fidelity like test avatar that Facebook released when they released the Quest Pro to like be able to have people like try it and be like, um this is what's possible with the eye and face tracking. And I ended up porting that into VRChat, and it's going to take a bit to load because I have the really high resolution textures.
I
But
see now. Oh, I've
I
seen
ended
that
up porting
avatar
that
around.
to VRChat. You've seen it before.
Yeah.
And so this ended up like also popping up. Like there's like the Japanese scene like took it and did their own stuff with it. And like every so often I see people like posting memes about him and doing a bunch of stuff with the MetaMan. Like the file is like freely available for people to get. By the way, like it's on one of their GitHubs. And every time people ask me, I'm like, it is for free. Like you can get it. And I'm like, I can't share the things because I'm first off, like my tool ends up like working based on knowing that the package that you're going to import is going to like be in the same space all the time. And if I were to port like another project into it, like I don't have any frame of reference. Like I'd have to do something specific for this. And I don't know, I have more fulfilling things than building like a tool for a week to share something. So I ended up like, so people use that one, and so anyway, to get back to your point, I was mewing with it. It's interesting, like, to just see how expressive it was one day, and it was like, oh my god, I totally need to make this. And so I made like a custom blind shape for it, and I was like, wait, like I can like I have the parameters exposed. I can sense when someone is mewing, and so I made the thing, and so I was like, and then I did the thing, and like all of my close friends were like, "This is great," and like a friend of mine, we were watching memes, and at some point someone was like doing the thing, and there were sparks coming out, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to do this," and so I ended up porting it to this avatar, and I was like, "Wait, it's not like I know it's possible to do like face tracking stuff that like isn't dependent on whichever avatar." Because you have the parameters and yeah, it ended up being a thing. And so I still have ideas for things I want to do. I mean, I ended up kind of rushing it through the end because I saw that other people were sort of coming up with the idea of doing the idea to have like a prefab that you can add that's reactive to face tracking. I wanted to be the first one on that because I had the idea for a while. I just never got around to it because like I guess like the selling the face tracking stuff, like 20, like I'd say like 40% of it is doing the avatar. That takes me that takes me like a few weeks if I want to test it properly. Or like even like if I'm on the holidays, I can do stuff in like a day and afternoon, and it would work. That usually, and so most of the time is spent doing the videos, and so I ended up like I like doing the videos because it means people are going to see what I do, but it's also it's also uh, it's also a bit of a pain because like I'd rather do the thing that I'm building, you know, like I'd rather like I have a lot of projects that I want to do. I want to work on the project, and I want to work on like the advertisement for the project. But I ended up coming out of that mindset and sort of liking the process of making the videos and coming up with ideas. like for example, for the advertisement of the mewing thing, I had to make something which was reactive. Like I had the phone that I always have with the Subway Surfers on it, and I ended up like making it reactive to the mewing, like so that it turns green when you mew. So so I wanted to be first to release the thing, and so I ended up rushing a bit through that one. So I like to do stuff, but I end up sort of constraining myself in what I do to have the least effort sort of have the least effort in doing the videos, like the face tracking, like the face tracking add-ons video. It's like I have like a process that I go through that sort of that I think is creative enough that allows me enough creative expression so that like people can relate to the avatar, and also at the same time still be comfortable, and like I know I'm going to be able to do this. But I should
Mm.
I have projects like this where I know I'm going to have to do something different that isn't like just matching the beat on the silly faces and picking a cool world that fits. Um, I ended up like putting those a bit to the side. Like I have this idea for an update for an avatar that I released that has been done for like 6 months now, and I just do not want to do the video because I know I want to try something different because I did something different for the first thing. It was like the first one where I did like a whole sort of story about it. He went to like the supermarket, got some things, and that ended up showing some of the facial expressions through that, and like having that in context was really nice.
Mm.
Um, but those take way more effort, and I end up like sort of putting them to the sides, even though I should just like get in and like the brain tracking stuff, for example. Like the module was done like during summer, like it was like a week of August where I had something working, and the rest was like polishing it up, making sure like people are going to be able to install it easily, doing the documentation, doing the video, recording the video. And then when I recorded the video, like the raw footage was like 20 minutes because we're talking, right? Like it's not like it's not just me doing silly faces. So I had to make sure I had the right things where I didn't stutter and it looked good, so that like, and so I was not like looking forward to that. I ended up doing it like not being as much work as I thought. And so sometimes I look at something, I'm like, oh my god, there's gonna be so much work, it's gonna be so much effort. I'm gonna switch back I'm gonna be me for a minute. I just realized, like this is something up. But
It's still pretty funny. You were the meta guy for a little while. No offense, I thought it was pretty amusing.
it's great. I mean, he's expressive, like you'd be able to get what I like my expressions better than what I could ever do with my things. That's really doomy. Like I don't know why I said that, but it's like it's like low self-esteem type of thing. I I always have like I guess it's feeling vulnerable about my work, but it's like yeah, that
Hmm.
demo avatar that like it was made by a professional really hits different. Like you can see like the little pores and like when the eyebrows go up, like there's wrinkles on the thing, which would make sense for this because it's like anime style, or even for a furry, like you need to have it be sort of stylized for it to not be uncanny, which the other one can very be.
Mm. Yeah, no offense, but at least with face tracking, I kind of like the VRChat avatar anime style, having like really well thought out facial animations than a hyper realistic avatar with face tracking, because it has the uncanny valley thing where you kind of see like the meta guy, cool, the face looks hyper realistic, but it also kind of has some like old 2000s
Something off.
sci-fi horror film esque uncanny valley look to it too.
Yeah. I totally get that. We can like there's a calibration button in VRCFT which resets everything, and like you can. I sort of easily, like, since I was building it and I was putting it together, I went through like all of the things so that I dissociated from like their hyper realistic. Oh my, this is supposed to be realistic. I sort of see it as like I sort of broke that uncanny barrier. But when I show it to people for the first time, they're like, "Whoa, whoa, this feels different." And so yeah, like having the stylized stuff was really nice. Like Echo, which inspired me to get started, like does some really good work being able to capture the sort of cartoony expressions. She has her own style. Like a lot of people really like her style, and it's great. And I think I think people should put like more like there's creators on VRCFT which don't advertise their stuff, period, and they do great job, and like they just their stuff don't get seen because they don't advertise it. But it's how do you say that? It's a shame, but people should see more diverse face tracking implementations.
Mm. I've
Like
seen
there's even sorry.
No, I was gonna say I've seen a lot of like
It's
furry
interesting.
creators do some really good expressive face tracking as well in terms of like how they implement it and how it looks on the avatar versus like not looking uncanny as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's there's definitely like an ingredient for it feeling good. You know, when you look at the mirror and you're like, this is my face.
Mm.
Um, there's good ingredients for that. So I have my own set of guidelines. So I'm like, I can have strong opinions when it comes to that. And so when I see people doing different things, sometimes I'm like, this shouldn't feel good. It doesn't like, and so it's like, but it's also totally valid. Like if people like the look of it and they don't like, there's like always that trade off between like when you're doing motion capture stuff, like how much of it is going to look good and how much of it is gonna like capture the performance. Like I saw I saw a video from Doodly about like motion capture, and it's like it feels like stuff like the difference between stuff being hand animated and like sort of real time like capture like this. There's always going to be like how much of it your is going to feel like a puppet, and how much of it is going to feel like this is actually someone moving.
Mm.
Like how would the character move in that thing, which they care a lot in animation, where we don't care as much about. Like I feel like we don't care. I mean, I guess 3D artists are going to scream at me, but like I feel like you want people to be able to express themselves, and so like of course you need no clipping, no things like that, but you also want the thing to have quote unquote good proportions, for it to feel good. So there's always like a trade off between, hey, how do I want this to be like accurate so that it feels good, or do I want it to be like sort of really cartoony and like looking really good? And
Mm.
so you end up needing to find a middle ground and all of it. Like when I got my full body trackers, I was like, I'm gonna make my avatar like the proportions are. I'm gonna match them. I watched one of them. The IKP person at VRChat did a really nice tutorial on how to match the proportions. I was like, this is cool, but like I feel like short. This doesn't look like anime. Like there's something wrong, and but it felt really great when we moved in it. It was like great, but I I ended up going back to something that's like way more anime proportions, and and so yeah, there's always a trade off, and I think Echo like nails it out of the park on with her style, and I hope people like my style, which I guess would be more between like the having it feel good and it being really expressive.
Hmm. Well, I think the looking at your facial gestures, and I think it looks great how you've implemented and how it looks on you when you change your face. I like it.
Appreciate it. I think there's a lot of it that also doesn't like that's the thing that not a lot of you're having a scoop there. There's a thing that like not a lot of people realize, but it's not only the face that needs to react to the expressions. Um, I mean, people like people know about it when they do gestures, but somehow when creators go to face tracking, they're like, oh, it's just the face. So you end up having like for example like my when I'm going to stand up real quick, but I have a thing where my tail sort of oh it's because okay, hold on, I'm gonna close the window. I know why I'm having the weird trekking. I'm a pretzel, this is great. But yeah, I have my like my tail wag when I do stuff, and like it's like really when I smile,
Oh,
sort of
okay.
goes up, and like there's like little
Okay.
bits of expression like that where I have like sparks that like little stars that pop up into my eye when I smile. Like I've got like the eye doesn't need to be 1-to-1, so I squish it a little bit. I've got like
It's right up in your
I
eyeballs. If I see the star now. Yeah.
and so these are these people like I've already figured out, but like there's always like a little stuff, like I have like a breathing animation on my chest, so like the phone like always goes up and down a little bit,
Mm.
and when I puff up my cheeks, sort of like it stops the animation, and so like it looks like I'm sort of taking up my breath, and it's like little things like that where people aren't going to look at the chest, or like I don't think people notice, but
Mm.
your brain sort of picks up on it and sort of breaks that uncanny feeling.
Something else I don't know if it's your facial animations, but something else I noticed about the avatar that looks a really nice touch you don't see often is the ear movements. Whenever you're that I see every now and again. I that's not you see often. I actually like. It looks really good.
Thank you. Yeah, that was part of the base actually. Like this, the creator that makes this makes really detailed, like really detailed avatar that are kind of operable between one another.
Mm.
Um, but people that already know are already screaming because they're like too expensive that I'd care to admit. The but I mean it's their work. It's not my thing to judge the price they put on their things.
Mm.
But it is a bit more on the expensive side, and it's like something I had to consider. Like I think I waited 6 months before getting jumpy and settling onto them.
Mm.
But it's like there's always like they put so much detail in them. I really wish like they also have a really strict TOS, so like I really wish I could like sell some of my stuff that I have set up for some of their avatars, but I have to go through like a whole approval process and stuff. Like I so it's really the brand and everything is like super, like the work, the advertisement, everything is super nice. Even like the concept art they do for it, I bought their art book. Like it's amazing. Like the little designs they have, like they always have like little this avatar usually like it comes with a cap, and so there's like little holes for the animal features to pop up and stuff like that. So they had like a ram in a maid dress where they had like little little ribbons on the things, and it made like being able to integrate the two, like finding like a hole for the tail and stuff like that, really like gives personality to the avatar.
Mm.
Anyway, love you, Yogi Mori. I wish I can work with them someday, but I it's they do some great work. Like the animations, these animations I didn't do, but I had them moved when I had the Vive facial tracker. Like when that was my main face tracking stuff. Had them move with my tongue when I do stuff. Like now when I stick it out, it still does the tongue down thing.
Ah.
So they go down a little bit, but they used to be able, if I did like if I rolled my tongue, they would go like this.
Ah.
So yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that you can do that's reactive to face tracking, that like the mewing thing, or like there's someone on Twitter that was like, if you look at someone's like feet or ass, like you get there's something that comes out of your eyeballs that's like a wooga type of thing, and so that's really nice. I had like a similar idea, but not that specific one, and I'm really glad they're going to be able to push it out. They it seems like they're on a good track to do that. So it's gonna be it. So that's why I saw that and I was like, wait, like I need to get this out before because because like it's that about creativity. I think like if you're hit with an idea, like someone else somewhere is going to have like a similar sort of background and is going to have like a similar idea, and it's all about the execution in the end. It's how much what kind of work, what makes it like you, what makes it like sort of that's the thing within the expression, that's like what are you like, the stuff you're putting out needs to sort of reflect what you have on the inside instead of just being like a technical bit. And I feel like with face tracking, it's kind of hard to, people see it as like, if there's like n face tracking add-on /DLC for an avatar, people are going to be like, oh, like yeah, like I'm gonna take the cheapest because it's like they only care about the functionality. But if you look at like the way people sculpt stuff and the way it looks, like that's how I feel like I'm still like relevant these days. Like I the videos, people look at them, they're like, yeah, like this looks like a thing I'd want. And so
Mm.
so yeah, being able to express and do stuff is really important.
Mm.
I'm going to sit back in my chair.
Feel free to sit down all you'd like. I'm surprised you stood for so long.
Yeah. I'm still it's really unfortunate because like it is the moment I get on a podcast that my tracking breaks. I got 3 base stations, like the Tundras, like the spider dongle. I've got everything, and somehow I break when the cameras are on. It's the demo effect. I love it.
Well, even not just that, I've noticed like with another project I'm working on, I've noticed whatever technical difficulties you find and try and run out of a project, once the camera's on, you'll find new ones no matter what. So whenever we're going to test that
Yep.
project, I was like, let's just turn a camera on and hopefully we'll find those new problems when it runs. But I don't know why the camera turning on and then problems always happen simultaneously.
Yeah. I was working in tech. I can assure you things like that happen really, really, really often. I did a 6 months internship at a research facility
Mhm.
because I was like I failed third year school, so I failed the first semester, so I retook that in the second semester. I did like a 6 months internship,
Mm.
and I had like the opportunity to work on research for VR haptics.
Mm.
And we had a week where everybody that was working on the project was getting together in the same room to sort of like do a sort of a game jam to get like cool ideas to show, and the tech people got to like work together in the same room, and so we could like sort of talk together. The idea was really nice, but the contractor that was supposed to do Unity demos for us, I was doing the SDK so that people could create things for it and like
Mm.
give examples and little demos. And the, um, the person that was in charge of it just didn't do their work, and so we had to crunch and like test a bunch of stuff and like put it on and off. And like I think 40 minutes before the demos were supposed to happen, um, they we had the Vive Focus like 3 headset with the Vive Ultimate trackers.
Mhm.
Do not recommend that to anyone. Do not get do not get them. But I could go on the technicals for a bit, but I do not. Anyway, we had the Vive Ultimate trackers, and they were assigned to body parts in Steam VR. So like a lot, like when you do VRChat, like you know that you can assign stuff, and the things are going to sort of pre-assign themselves, and you just need to hit the calibrate button, and it works.
Mhm.
And so that person didn't know that, and so I wrote in the documentation that stuff needs to be assigned to the wrists for it to track. And they didn't like they picked another tracker that wasn't assigned, and they canceled all of the demos. And I think like by the time I came in, like I think it was like the end of the week, and I sort of take up the glove, and they're like, "Oh, there's something that's wrong," and the like one of the cables, the one of the power cables for one of the motors inside of the glove was not soldered anymore, and so you ran and did the things like right before the demos, and yeah, so I get that, like we on all of the projects, like it
Mm.
it happens, and it's always the I mean, it's part of the fun, like being able to also improvise about it and like talk, sort of fill in, making sure it's not as painful for the person that's taking the demo.
Mm.
It's a skill of its own. Like I did for my first third year engineering school, I did a quote unquote holographic screen where you'd have like a screen, and you'd have like 4 reflective surfaces, and light would bounce off of it, and when you looked at it, we sort of made it so that the four things that were projecting onto the things like sort of lined up, so you could see the whatever model we put into it, and we advertise it as like a company, like working in 3D. Like you have that in the end of your conference table instead of like a big projector, you could have like this small projector which like you could interact and do stuff with. And yeah, like I think the day before we were still putting it together, and like we had like I don't know, oh fuck, I don't know the name of that in English, but maybe like patafix. It's like I'll look it up. It's like just like small adhesive to like try to get everything working together,
Mm.
because it just did not function before the demo. And yeah, so it's always, as long as it's good enough, that's what's important. Like
You know, with
being
the
able to lie about it nicely is also important.
with the whole good enough thing, the project I referenced, me and another YouTuber, Code Advance, are working on a VRChat game show. One of the worlds is called Rift Rush. The first thing you go when you go into the obstacle course for Rift Rush is your climbing wall, and the first climbing aspect we tried using something that we thought would work, and when him and I worked on it, we climbed. We used it a bajillion times ourselves. Worked fine. No problems. The moment we recorded the first pilot test, everyone was getting stuck on rocks because the VRChat pill would get into the climbing wall and stop you from climbing. So you'll see some scenes, people are just kind of doing it. It's like, why am I not moving? But as soon as the camera turned off, him and I went to go test the climbing wall. Worked fine. No problems.
Yeah.
Not at all. Cameras on, problems.
Yeah,
Cameras off, no problems.
Yeah, I feel, yeah, like it's also like, I think it also, like, a lot of it comes from also like, since you're designing it, like you're like, this is how I'm going to use it, and like you're like, oh, I'm like, nobody's gonna use it. Like you don't, yeah, you don't usually, like, if you don't test along the way, it's super hard. Even though like finding a wide range of testers is really important. Like when you're working on stuff that people are going to experience, it's always like, yeah, that's what I think like Valve does really well. Like they can get like people in their playtests that are like total didn't play games, or like are really into like that one specific thing, so they're going to be really nitpicky about that one thing. And exposing your work, it is really important. But that's why I feel like VRChat is working so well, because like everybody's exchanging stuff all the time, and not as like closed source, and I but even though like there's sort of the, in its core, like you get the fact that like you're feeling vulnerable about what you're creating, so you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't show it, like. And so it's about being in that safe space where you feel comfortable enough, like sharing, like if you need to cry, even like you should be comfortable, like just like expressing yourself and like bouncing ideas, so that you can. So like, for example, like the mewing video, like the day before, I was like, oh, this is silly, like I people are going to hate it, like I don't know if I should release this, like you know, like all those bad heebie-jeebies that just like hate your head, and you need, like, being able to like go the extra mile, and like just not getting stuck on that like sort of brain process, and actually showing it to people is really important. And I feel like if you're not being vulnerable during something that you're creating, I think it is either just, it's not, maybe not creative. I don't know. I'm taking like huge huge stances here, but I think like if you're creating something, you gotta feel that like anything that you think is going to push things, or like maybe you're underestimating, like if you're not feeling vulnerable at some point, it's yeah, it's not great. Should feel a little humbled when working on things.
I can very much agree on that as well. It's kind of like the same stance. If you're going up on stage, you should feel some level of nervousness when you go up on stage. One of the people we brought on said couple people actually said that like coming on stage and being nervous is important because it helps you level up what you're trying to do versus if you go up on stage and you feel nothing, you're not gonna really be aware. I guess is a way it's gonna be like everything is normal. I guess in a sense, I guess both have its good place, but similar vibe. If
That's true. That's true. I feel there is some of it where like if you're on, how do you say that, like um I mean maybe like stressing out about it on your own is also like a way to deal with it.
Mm.
But it's like, I don't know, like yeah. I'm sorry, my brain sort of tangented.
It's a-okay, don't worry about it. It's no big problem at all.
Yeah.
Lines goes burr all the time.
There's been many
Yeah.
occasions. There's been many occasions I'll get either excited or for no reason my brain like, you know what? You know this really big thought, question, or conversational piece you're trying to remember? It don't exist. These aren't the joys you're looking for, and it's just
Yeah.
gone. Just gone.
I can very much relate. Like even with the like the language barrier also adds to that, where if you talk languages, like your brain sort of mixes things up all the time. Like I had that really funny story where I came in late for school one day, and the person at the entrance was like, "I'm not letting you in. Like you're not on time, so you're going to wait in the cold." And I was like, "This is." I couldn't find the word for unfair in French,
Oh.
and I was like, and so I was like really angry, and I was like, "Oh, I did this whole monologue." And when it came to like expressing like the word unfair, I was like, so it was kind of ridiculous at the time, and I was like, and so I ended up saying in English, like, where are you from? Like, what are you? What even are you? And it's like, with languages, it adds a thing where sometimes the words come up in French, sometimes they do in English. It's weird. It's weird.
The
It's
brain
weird.
is weird.
Yeah.
Well,
The sometimes, yeah, the thinking in other languages sometimes is also like interesting. Like if you don't practice a language, like your brain kind of flushes it. Like I had a month between my second third year and my internship, and I ended up spending it mostly on VRChat and like speaking English all the time. And I came back in, like, went for my first day of the internship. I was like, whoa, I don't remember words. This is like, I've been born and raised here. Like I know my French, and it's like this felt odd. Like you only 2 months, and you can like lose your native tongue. It's something.
oh wow. So I have two fun questions for you, and it's kind of on the whole thoughts and inner monologue. Do you have an inner monologue? And if so, what language do you think in normally?
Well, I don't. It depends. I guess sometimes I get stuck by words in English. Like, and I have this thing where like I'm focused on like someone said a word really specifically, and I'm like, this is the word. And so I don't know. If, it might be a little autistic or something, but I'm always like have that thing, and it depends. I guess it's maybe like the environment I'm in. If I spent like the weekend in VRChat, like by Monday I'm probably thinking English. But if I go back to school and come back at night, I might think in French. No, it's weird. It even like it affects my way I talk to. Like I think might have been a good thing that we ended up recording on Monday, because I've already have my English like already warmed up. It's not gonna be the old diesel engine.
Well, I'm
I'll
going to
be
say you speak
talking,
English
trying
very,
to find
very
my
well.
words. Thank you very much. I'm see, like I have this like weird middle of the sea accent where I have some words that I pronounce the British way, and some the American way. Like most of them the American way actually. But I how do you say that? But see, the words don't come up. But the fuck, brain farted.
It's
But yeah, no,
okay.
I remember. The yeah, it's like it's I kind of like I'm a bit sad that I ended up like having this accent, like, because I wanted to conform at first. I was like, this is the way the language is supposed to be spoken. I'm going to take the effort to be able to have myself understood, because you hear French people all the time being like having the sickest accent of all that they can have, and nobody understands them. And it's like what did you say? And it's like I felt like I wanted to get away from that as much as possible, so I associated way more with the accents. And I feel a bit sad because now like part of my identity is kind of gone. Like I have to put it on and had to relearn how French people say things. And so I end up sounding like an American. Like I ended up sounding like someone that speaks English trying to speak French when I do the French accent, which is like crazy.
Well, to be fair, I still notice the a French twang to your accent. I still very much notice it. I can understand you clear, but you can still hear the French tone to it. So I'll tell you, it's not completely gone.
Nice. I'm still the little baguette is still inside of me. That's great. That's great.
Well,
I like to make fun of it. It's great. Like I ended up not like really interacting with much French people in VR chat. Like when I did the first time, it felt weird. Like um, I it's like usually maybe it's because like you have a bunch of communities that end up like sort of ghettoing together. Like they end up like just talking. Like from what my experience of like public French lobbies is, people that like either don't know how to speak like fluently English, or like don't want to because they're like, oh, either this is too much effort, or this is like or like it's a hatred, like sort of like, oh, I don't want to be associated with these people, so I'm going to spend time with my people. And it's like sort of nationalist like idea. And so I ended up not really going too much like interacting with much French people. But now that I'm in I feel like I've set a name for myself. Like I've had few people like reach out to me for commissions that I was like really fan of their work, and like a kind of how do you say that, like I ended up kind of settling me in this space where I know I'm going to be talking with people that aren't going to be as closed minded. And so feeling more comfortable in those spaces, like I ended up talking to more French people, and that sort of got me back into like, oh, maybe this isn't as bad, maybe this isn't as something that I should like put on the side and not care about.
We actually didn't. There's actually a pretty big there's a group, French Quarter, I think it is. We talked with Raven from Sanctuary, that old group, and we learned from her that there's actually a pretty big VR. Don't do this to me.
Hello, I'm here to interrupt your current video. Ask you a favor. Down in the description, down that way, is a link. Metaversedegen.card.co, which you have a whole bunch of other places. If you wish to continue following us, we have Twitter, which I run for us, which you get updates and other stuff and random thoughts from me. We have a Discord where Raptor, I, and the entire crew and all the other people we know will be over there hanging out. We game there fairly regularly or hang out in there, so feel free to go over that way and come chat with us. We'd love to meet you. We have a Spotify now. Surprise. Everything from a couple weeks ago forward, we'll have our Spotify content on Fridays. If I remember, we'll put some of our old content forward, but we're going to keep up with our current content on Spotify. So if you wish to watch it there or listen to it there, it'll be there for you as well. Also, we have a Patreon, which we have a whole other show, which we haven't been keeping up with, but we're doing our best. But we have a whole other show there for you as well. We would like to give a huge thanks to some of our supporters over that way, which is Future Oracle, Aliquum, Niche, and Forbidden Zero, all of which we thank you very much for everything, and hopefully we'll see you around and you continue to enjoy the content. Enjoy the current video. Bye-bye.
Sorry, technical difficulties. I did crash. Although, to make a short statement on the last thing you said before I died, we did have a chat with someone named Raven from Anticorp, big French Quarter group that does stuff here in VRChat as well. I wanted to say that before I died, but I died, so I'm sorry.
Ah, it's okay.
Hey, you
I
dying fool! Put your batteries back in.
The computer
it's
would burn.
because put in the
Yeah.
beans.
Hold
I
on,
I
hold on, boss. I'm going to the street corner. I gotta get batteries. Be right back. Yeah, I hope God it never comes to that situation.
you want
Ever in
batteries?
yeah,
You want
you just roll. Yeah, open up your coat, going, yeah. Let's see. Well, I got Duracell, and I got some really low
oh my
grade, and I got
Puxel.
I got rechargeable if you're really desperate, but those are expensive. I'm sorry, yeah. I hope God never comes to that.
The
But
premium for
yeah,
that.
yeah. But with your French and stuff like that, do you have? I don't speak. I speak what most people think. Line thinks that I speak Japanese because half the time what it comes out of my mouth, huh? And when he froze like that and he was talking about it, I almost popped up and said, "Yeah, like how I speak." Yeah, I never got to that part with a line. But do you have that much? Is it that hard of a difficult situation losing
It
your
can
natural accents? I'm just curious
it
because I
can
only speak.
it can feel like that. Sorry,
Does it feel
latency in
like that?
VRChat isn't helping. It does feel like it does feel sometimes like, I mean, the accent is more of a personality thing, but losing the words is something that's a bit scary. Yeah, to me, I think
In what way,
the
Ash? What way, Ash?
what way?
In what way? Yeah, in what way do you feel that you're losing yourself? Is what I was asking.
It's like, like I'm forming a sentence and then like the next word doesn't come up, or it comes up in the other language, and it's like, fuck, like I really wish I could have that conversation that sort of breaks the flow and sort of like, yeah. I mean, in the end, like if like I think I want to go live abroad sometime. Like I like most of the cool tech jobs are like VR specifically. Like there isn't many companies working on things. Like there is one French company. There's one in I don't know where Vario is, but they're in Europe, Iceland, I think. I don't remember. And there's Facebook and Valve and Pimax in China and Pico in China. Um, but for the consumer facing stuff, like there isn't a lot, and so I'm probably going to have to move and do things. So what in that context, like I feel like my parents speak barely any English, and so and my grandma even less, and so being able to lose the sense of communication to the ones I love is something that I would be pissed. I'd be pissed about that,
Yeah,
and
I
like
could
the
see that.
culture, like losing the culture is something that like I love my baguette and my saucisson. Yeah, that's something I want. Like I wouldn't live without. It's gonna be tough when I move. If well, I hope so, man.
Well, you can always go a different route and start something up in France that's VR related. It sounds like you have enough knowledge in what you are doing to do something like that to start up a French VR aspect company.
I mean, hey, if you want to work, no, I don't know. I mean, that could be interesting. Like for example, building like a super fast like brain like EMG like facial tracking thing. Like doing a bit of like a little startup for that would be super neat. Like not having to process any cameras and do like a commercial product, but that would be super nice. But
Mm.
like
Eh,
there's always it's always complementary. Like I'm really bad in analog electronics. Like I can't polarize a transistor for the life of me. But I write VHD on the whole day. Like I'm going at it. Like I'm describing circuits with code. I do that. I really enjoy doing that. But like I cannot like placing the transistors on the chip and doing the things. Like I cannot do any of that. So like I need to find people that are also like need to find people that are complementary to my skills and I mean that could be something, but I feel like I have a huge like trusts issue. Like see like the mewing prefab, for example. Like I'm I it took me like someone to come up with a similar idea for me to to even talk about it and be like, hey, this is the thing that I'm working on. Like I didn't even want to talk to it about it to my friends. Part of it was I wanted to surprise them, but also part of it was like, I don't want this to get out. Like I want to, and so that little bit, that little like sort of paranoid state, is really preventing me to do anything. Like even the videos, like I found someone to help me with one of the videos to advertise, and they did an amazing job, but they took 6 months to do it, which like doesn't make make me want to continue doing that with other people. So it's going to take me a bit to like sort of go through the 5 stages of grief and sort of just work my way and
Well, I'll say
be
this:
able to collaborate with people easier.
if you ever need another advertisement video, reach out to Raptor and I. We'll get it done in less than 2 weeks.
I mean the advertisement video thing is I'm also really like, as I said, I have really strong like opinions when it comes to like what I want. So I might have yeah. So it's like, and it's also that, and also the fact that I want people to test like see it on hardware. So like I don't want to have any pre-made animation. I just want it to be like, this is what the facial capture is going to look like, so that it's like a proper advertisement of the thing. And so like finding someone that I liked the work of, that also had like was also I knew was proficient with face tracking stuff. So like the sort of limits things, and also just in VRChat, like it's just there isn't much people, and even then, like if it's someone from a community that has incentives to uh sort of screw people over, there it's not going to, like I feel like I'm going to be paranoid. So I try to, I do a lot of stuff, but I'm also I'm so a little fucked in the head, like a lot of people, I guess.
Hey, Ash, do you see a lot of people like that have ideas and stuff like this and afraid to like we used to say is put it to paper? Do you see a lot of that in your field?
I mean, I'm really afraid of it. I mean, in the tech side of things, I think it's mostly the tech side of things that's making me think about that. But like patents, for example, like people file patents for a lot of stuff, and like that's sort of limiting, like in emergent technology like VR, that's really limiting stuff. Like Toby, they make like little eye tracking things for your desktop, and they made some research with VR like eye tracking and they patented the idea of having little cameras with little invisible one-way mirrors in the inside of the lens to have the camera pointed directly at your eye, and that helps a lot when you're processing the video, not having to deal with the offset, the position and rotation offset. And so being how do you say that, like so they patented that, and like it feels like it really like sort of limited what people were able to do, like for example, like I mean, they had other constraints, but like big screen, for example, like they're relying on community made stuff to do things, even though I don't think they would have shipped the Beyond that way because it was meant to be like the lightest headset. But they if they were to do it, like they'd have to pay a license fee to that company, and that sort of already puts pressure in like the creation. Like you can't just prototype something where you know you're going to be paying. Like you'd rather do the other thing, which is going to be technically a bit harder, like for you in the long run, but you're not going to have to pay the fee. Like it's
Yeah, I
easier to go
gotcha.
that route and like start developing things. And so I feel like if I launch out ideas, people are going to either patent it or like try to do their own spin on it before I do.
Before you
So
get
like
it where you want it. I understand.
yeah, and so I mean, like for face tracking stuff, I mean, like I feel like it's kind of the one part of the VRChat community that's been going like as like a new thing people need to head on top of full body and things like that. And so like a lot of people are there's a lot of eyes on it, I think, and knowing the potential that this has for like social VR, I kind of want to be a part of it too. Like, you know, like it's I think it's human to like you've invested so much time into it and things, and you kind of like you helping the cause in ways by sharing the problems that I've solved with the brain tracking, with the distributing files. But there's other things that I know that, like, for the making of avatars, that's like my specific style that I don't want to get out. But even though that would help in like the short term, like it flourish and be a thing that would be more accepted by people. Like not accepted, but like if everybody sort of does stuff, like there would be more hardware, and so there'll be more thing, and it would create like it would create a vicious cycle. Like I think like me releasing the tools for people to create and do their own things, sort of help that to start. Like Polygon, for example, like they do really cool like furry avatars with face tracking, and they contributed back with the smoothing logic and like doing an animator that everybody can use on their avatar that works really nice, that I use for my own products. And they're way more like they're way more quote unquote famous than I am. Like they've got a much more attention put their way, and I don't know where I wanted to go, but like the fact that like so there yeah, there's just a lot of people are talking about it and like being really excited about it, and I feel like having that sort of made people realize that it existed, and so creating that vicious cycle that sort of is going to make it so that manufacturers do headsets that have the cameras for social VR, like any sort of sensor. That's why any sort of sensors that would do it, like the EMG, like the EEG stuff that I'm doing. But you could do there's a lot of ways you could sample face tracking data, like the Beyond, for example, like covers your entire face, and so if there's a lot of pressure, so if you have like sheets that do contact with your face, you'd be able to know the deformation, and so based off of that, you'd be able to discern specific facial features, like the smile, for example, like your cheeks pull up a little bit, and so you'd be able to get that pressure and like use that as a way to do facial tracking, even though like there isn't any cameras in there. Like, and that's also like less constraining because you don't need to have designed the headset around it. Like you already have that constraint, and you can already build the stuff with it. And so having manufacturers that build stuff around the social VR like stuff is going to improve. Like people are going to be able to create more stuff, or people are going like it's going to be more of a common thing. And I mean, with face tracking, like you when you're talking to someone, there isn't any like sort of abstraction. It's just like your expression. It's like you like I don't have to like think like, oh my god, I should do this gesture and then this and then that, and like it's like it helps a lot to communicate. It's the name of VRChat. It's like you want to talk to people, and so expressing yourself, it helps with expression. And I think like it also unlocks like a way for people to express themselves in a way that like is them, like sort of bleeds a part of them into their creation. Sorry, I just yap.
Oh no,
No,
you're on
you're
a
fine, yeah.
podcast
You're
where we talk with
perfectly
people.
fine.
How terrible you talked.
Oh no!
How could I? Yeah, no, but I don't know. I feel it's one of my first like sort of interview settings. So it's like I'm like oh, I'm a bit shy. So
We're
it's like
not
it's
quite
okay.
we're not quite an interview place, but we're also not quite a podcast. We're like a weird in between. So don't worry about it. Just be yourself. If you
Yeah.
want to talk about something, talk about it. Go for it. We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have like to have little like have something that's you. That's why people like it. It's because it's like this formula that works really great with me, and this is me. Like this is good. Like you're being able, like your format is unique, and it's what's important. I was thinking about other podcasts that do stuff differently, like, and it's like it's really nice because you guys put big emphasis on like creators, and like as creators, when I watched a few episodes, a bunch of them have the same reaction as me, where it's like, oh, it's you feel the, some of them just yap. Some of them just yap. Like the person that's in charge of communication at VCAT just went and like brought you guys places and how you got like tell you guys about like what he did before, and that was really nice. But I feel like I'm more of a I feel like the conversation aspect like really works with me. But it's like person to person, and it's like it's also the thing like you said, it's we're supposed to have you, and but also like it's also your podcast, so I don't want to
Well, no.
feel like I'm
With Raptor and I, the point of bringing people like you or Loon or even chilloutcharles on is we want to get to know you as a person. That is what we want. Whether you're building face tracking or you're just really into meme avatars, or you really want to talk
Or
really
both.
into this other thing, or both, or you want to go on a tangent about the tech company, how tech companies do patents and problems. We've had a conversation with someone else who said a similar thing would have come out by now, named Apotech, and Apotech is in South American continent, and he does a lot with technology and science and stuff, and he has run into that problem as well, and we listen to that. So whatever it is that makes you, we want to hear about, because it will allow people to see and know the face behind the things they enjoy, whether that's they saw that post on Twitter, whether it's the mewing thing or the VRC face tracking. It's a way to see the person behind the lens. It's a way to who makes the things they enjoy. Who are they? What are they into? Because I'd say I, as a person, go in worlds and see avatars and these things all the time. I'm like, who is the person that makes this? Why did they put this weird thing in this weird spot in the world? Why? Just a good way to know those things. So don't ever worry about like, oh, I'm shy and I went on a tangent. It's you, and I'm glad to hear it. Both
Okay.
Raptor and I are both glad to hear it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I how do you say that? Fuck, I lost myself. But it's important, but it also serves a purpose for us too, because like it's sort of awkward to just talk in front of a camera and be like it's hard to not make it like fully scripted, and so like having a place where you bounce off people and just like be able to talk is really nice. Like I I saw some I watched some of the stuff before, and it's really nice like being able to see like I mean like yeah like being able to hear them and see how they who they are, like a little peek behind the curtain is always really interesting. Like and also like the I feel like for creative folks it's also like really important in the sense that that they like you're feeling vulnerable, so it's like you don't want to I'm repeating myself like I feel like I've said vulnerable 10 times, but it's like you want you want to you don't feel like talking about why you like the some stuff is personal, and it's like I don't know, like the like this whole project that I did, and it's like like it might not be as great or as thing, but as like as good as one might think, but sometimes it makes people resonate, and that's what's important.
Like
Yeah, the biggest thing what you're saying, Ash, is what I'm catching and stuff like this is the biggest thing is like me and Lion talk about to the people that are in here. If you got somebody that might be in the same field you are and they're stuck, they don't know how to approach you in here. A lot of people will back up in VR, unless they're
Yeah.
acting completely, but when they come, if they see your video or something like this and they go, hey, I like what Ash is doing, I'm curious. Now, just going off what seeing you as you, I maybe know how to approach you. Because a lot of people, since I've been in VR for going on 5 years, almost 6 years, you stay if you being small has its advantages. I can stand back and you can watch what goes on in a world if you pay attention. And you can see where people will stand back. There's a mirror. People are talking their BS and having a good time because they know each other. But when you get that, you can see that new person that just walks in. He might have been there a couple times and stuff like this, but they are still hesitant to walk up. I've seen it many, many times in different locations that I stand back. I might be way up high. I might be high, like Lion always gives me crap. I'm hiding in a plant or in a light or something like this, or I could be standing right next to you. People will not front. They might go on up at the mirror, but they're way off to the side. They keep to themselves and not saying nothing, but they're listening.
Yeah.
And they're listening tight because they want to be a part of the conversation, but they're scared to step forward. Well, with me and Lion doing what we're doing, and we enjoy interviewing the individual and stuff like this, maybe, just maybe, we get that one person that finds you, Ash, and comes up and going, I saw your video, everything else like this, and listening, and I am curiosity. Curiosity kills the cat, is the saying.
Yeah.
But they didn't know
Yeah.
how to approach it. They could have been somebody that you've been seeing multiple times in the world that you hung out at, and they stood back. They might know your field, but they didn't know how to approach you. Now they
Yeah.
can, and that
I totally get
and
that.
that may,
It's also
and and it gets they get the idea who you are, what you are. Like people, we got people come up and go, hey, me and Lion, I saw your video and everything else like this, thank you and everything else like this, and they'll talk about a certain person or something like this, and they didn't know how to front us. Hey, I'd like to talk to, how do I get a hold of this person? Now they're going through chain of commands or links. How do I get, well, it's in the video and stuff like this. Yeah, I saw that and everything else like this, but I couldn't get to them. Where do you might know where they hang out at, so I can go talk to them? They want to talk to them person to person, not just by texting them. They want to talk and get the feel of that what they're throwing, and that's me and Lion's biggest goal. Yeah, our biggest goal in here is to interview everybody, and that's a goal that we might ever never see the daylight of it, but it's one hell of a goal because then
it
everybody
is.
feels comfortable in that situation. So
Yeah. That's the really cool thing about VRChat. You could just have like a conversation with people. Like it's rare to see people that are like, I make this, but like I don't want to talk about it. Like it's like, or I guess they get the same kind of question and they're like, I don't want to talk about this specific
mhm.
thing, but it comes never from a place of like I do not want to share. It's more I I lost myself, but I thought about something when you were talking. But yeah, it's also like yeah, the quietest like the smartest person in the room isn't like is rarely the loudest, and it's like like there's as I said like there's something about being like vulnerable and not like wanting to go talk to people, but like there's also like usually people that create are maybe a bit more shy, and it's like it's good to have like a good place for people to like connect and stick together. I feel like I'm going on loops right now on my head, but how do you say that? It's super nice to just be able to go talk to people and like even like I was really surprised like through friends of friends of friends of friends I ended up like talking to people that I really looked up to when I was getting started in here. Like like I did a commission for Rue, like the great DJ, and she I was a big fan of electro, and I just go there sometimes. I just pull up and I have a great time like, listening to music and dancing, and it's and like I'm still a bit shy to not like go talk to people. I feel like, oh my god, I'm gonna bother him. Blah, blah, blah. But like having like hearing, I think like hearing people talk about their thing, like sort of helps you, yeah, approach that specific like that person better, and the fact that they how do you say that they like as you said, it's a double-edged sword. Like you don't you want to put yourself out there, but it's also like it also has its advantages to stay quiet. But I feel like if people want to build something, they gotta do it together. And I think putting people together is inherently a good idea. Like genuinely, I'm rambling.
Don't worry about it. It's
You're not
okay.
rambling. You're not rambling.
Not at all.
You
I
haven't
should
heard
get water
rambling
actually.
until
My
you get me
mouth is
into
a
a
bit
start.
dry.
Right, Lon?
Hmm?
I get going, and man, I can't
went-
shut down sometimes.
Yeah, but that's what makes you you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
that's
I mean,
true.
that was it was really nice. Like I was that kind of like triggered places like I had the hey, I'm here. I like it made me think about specific things while he was talking, and being able to express it afterwards was also valuable. Like that led me to like think about what I wanted to say. Also, like it's not bad. It's good to also I like the both approaches. It's really nice.
Yeah, wait until you really get to know me, Ash, and then you're gonna go, God, I wish that old man just goes sit down on his coconut like he is now. Well, I'm not sitting, I'm standing, but you know.
No,
Stand
Raptor,
on
no.
that coconut and you hope the tree grows beside you, not into you. Oh, that'd be a mess.
Mm,
Can you imagine me a talking
Yeah,
tree? That'd be
you don't want that.
nuts.
I
I
mean, it
would
depends.
love
No,
to see a
It
VR
depends on
chat
people. You
world.
never
no,
know.
I would love to see a VR chat
No, I
world
mean,
with a tree
no.
animated after you with a bunch of your lines in it, and you just walk by and it'll just start sharing things at you. Stories, funny things.
Oh,
Did you know
Christ.
my nicknames? I'm barking mad. It'll just say random things at you. It'd be hilarious. I'd
Dude,
love it.
The wise old coconut tree. Yeah, or the wise old tree. Yeah, that'd be great.
Put the raptor in the
the
coconut,
future
mix it
where
all up.
it's gonna be super easy to train. Like, I don't like to talk about AI, but like I feel like like you said, like the like a tree that talks like it feels like that feels more you than you. It's like that would be terrifying, right? Like, so it's like it's double, like, how do you say that? Like double.
Double-edged sword.
I was gonna say double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
it's I mean it's cool technically, but like, do we really want that? Like, I don't know. It's like the why in the technology is also really important. That's why I like to like apply everything that I do, like the little project stuff, like with it was supposed to be like you just do something, like the pitch for the project was you do something in 3D at like the school project with the squishable controller. Like the pitch was you do something in 3D, like whatever, and you it needs to deform in some way. I was like, I know electrical and I know blend shapes and my friend knows Godot. And I'm like, what does that give us? And like finding something that makes sense and that's actually demoable and not like just a tech demo. Like, I mean, it was kind of a tech demo, but like the like compared to like just a project where like I don't know, it's just like a 3D scene in Blender that doesn't interact, and like it's just you sculpted something. Like, I mean, no, that's not a good example. Like something like like there was another project which is they just took the VR SDK like for Unity, and they just made a thing. Like I think having personality in projects is always like important. I don't know when that was from. Like what the original. Yeah, like AI trees. Yeah.
AI trees.
Like AI for the sake of AI. It's just like kind of like kind of the thing I despise. Like there's some cool stuff you can do with it, but it's like people see like a lot of tech people that I talk to see VR as like, it's like immersion for the sake of immersion. Like there's nothing, but like when the application of social VR onto it really something you can do otherwise. Like you wouldn't be able to do that in AR because like you would need to share the same space, and it's not like it's like a hard problem to solve, and nobody's solved it yet. And there's it's also like, do you want someone phasing through doors? Like you've got there's like watching a movie, for example, in VR, that's always going to be better, for example. And so doing, because you have like you can, like when you watch a movie, you want like it's 24 frames, so you want the how do you say that, the persistence to sort of smooth things out. And so doing that in AR is probably because it's probably going to use some sort of optical tracking system, so it's going to need light somehow. And so, so yeah.
I'm one of those people that using AI because you can, or using it as a substitute for your own ability is not something I like, but using AI as a tool for things is another. Like using it to make art because you
That's
can't make art is not good. But using AI to substitute a lack of skill when you can't find help, let's say like you're not a coder and you're working on worlds, it makes sense. Like if that's something
Yeah.
you can't find someone to do it for you, I understand. But like if you're gonna replace an entire industry like writers in Hollywood, no, that's just very lazy.
Yeah, I feel like the thing with AI is that like it's always going to regurgitate, like vomit always the same like sort of whatever you trained it on. And so like the human inside of it is when you want something that's different. And if you, I mean the with coding, for example, like I feel like if you're going to build something really that makes a really big difference, and that's going to be valuable, you want to know what goes on behind the gears,
Mm.
and like at least be able to understand in smaller chunks how you're going to architecture your thing. And so I feel um like it's is like AI art is good if you just want like a quick drawing to find inspiration from, but it's not going to be like an end. Like it shouldn't be, I think, an end piece of art. Like it's always should be good for inspiration, not something and then something you can bounce off of, because it's going to be like a bunch of ideas thrown together. So if you can resonate with something,
Mm.
but it's like it's also a bit sad because like you're resonating with like an amalgamous, not like anyone in specific. And so like I feel like people fear social VR in the sense that like they're gonna be, people aren't going out and people aren't gonna be talking to people. But it's like you want to resonate with people, and it's like what is the least resistive path to
Mm.
doing that, and that could be that could very well be one of them. That's why we get so many people in here doing cool shit.
Mm.
I go on another tangent. I feel like a lot of people in here, like myself included, talk about how much like try to sell VRChat to people, but the podcast is going to be seen by people that see VRChat. So it's like just like reinforces people. So it's nice, but like I heard you say that like like I'm talking. I mean, it's just because I think it's just because we interact with a lot of people that like just don't get it, and it's like we get that frustration whenever we talk about it. We associate with like talking about that frustration, and so it's always part of the discussion. But I found it really amusing that like I'm trying to sell you VR, like even though you're probably already using VR. Like that's what's fun.
Yeah. Well, I believe there are also some people who watch who aren't avid VR users, but I think I'm going to use like Metaversedegen as an example. I think having a VR related podcast that interviews and talks with creators has multiple points that is useful. At least from my standpoint, one, it helps people who wouldn't normally interact with various VR communities interact with each other. Like there are many ways you can go
Yeah.
on Twitter, you can go on that to find groups and communities. But if you avidly listen to a podcast, for example, like one you're listening to right now, you'll be able to not just like see a 2-minute video on social media on like this person who made a mewing video, haha, look, it's funny, and go, oh, this is stupid, this is great. But you actually get to hear their thoughts. So, like, I understand. You get to hear about the community a little more, a
Yeah,
little differently than you would normally. But also for
people
those who
that
have never been in VR, who want to like, what is it like? you'll be able to hear from people who are in there. You get to what do they think about? What do they find funny? What do they do? What is world building? Well, there's an entire playlist for creators that build things like worlds and avatars. You can go explore or whatever, and you have those options to learn about those things before you hop in. And I could go on and on and on, but there are more uses for it, and
That's true.
yeah.
I agree with you, but it's I just think that I I'm sorry to say this
No,
to say this,
feel free.
but I feel like a lot of people like feel free to like also cut me at any point if you feel like I'm
No,
but
go for it.
I think that people that don't know about VR aren't going to either either like find it or the like people. I feel like I'm not if I'm not already into VR, I'm likely not going to spend time in listening to a 2-hour podcasts from someone that's talking just about
Fair
VR.
enough.
That's why I feel like clips are really like good. Like that, there's a lot of things where you can doom scroll like vertical clips forever. You're always going to be served the same thing, but I feel like it's also great for discoverability. If there's something that like sort of piques your interest, you can always like see and check out the full thing later. Like there's a lot of podcasts and like content creators that I found through like just clips, and like that's how even I got back. I think I got back into VRChat because of clips, because of like VTuber, like the VTuber scene exploding in 2020, and having that like served to me, and me watching more clips led to me getting more and more. Now my feed is 90% VTuber stuff, but I how do you say that? Like I feel like if people are going to be curious, like short form content is as bad as it is in the sense that like you gotta compress like a 2-hour conversation in like like less than a minute, and it's like I like even for my videos, like I feel dumb. Like I record everything 16:9, and I have to cram it in like 9x16, 9x16, and it's like either you're missing like the two sides of the video where there's cool stuff that could be happening, and like I got a pan so that like and to make sure everything's always in frame, and like you're losing a lot of the original content. But for people that want to be interested, I feel like for discoverability, short form content is the way to go. As much as I dislike it.
Understandable. I appreciate the insights. It's good information to have.
I really wanted to do it for a while, but like I was like, nah, I hate like short form video bad. I don't want to do it. And it's like, oh, people aren't going to see, it's not going to be good enough. But I feel like I found like a good balance, like being able to repurpose the videos. I used to do like 2 different videos for shorts and one for the other, and now I do only one that I crop. But I find it really, how do you say that, like important for people to have like something they can just go ahead and watch. Like the when I sometimes I go see the comments of that people put on those shorts one, and it's never really people that seem like they're into VR. Like it's people that I put different tags on there, like anime or VTuber or like furry when I do furry avatars or like stuff like that. It ends up being way more interacted way more by people that like the short form content ends up being interacted more than by people that aren't into VR than people that are into with the longer form.
Okay.
Like the brain tracking stuff. I think.
Cool.
Lights, hear the crowd roar. Challenge yourself, push for more. Virtual world, no place to hide. Brace yourself, it's one ride. Gears are turning, hearts on fire. Rise up, unleash your desire. The virtual gauntlet, calling your name. Step into the light, ignite the flame. Through avatars
Oh, I guess that's the second time we've had a crash in this. Welcome back.
Yeah, the
Man, welcome
magics
back,
of
Ash.
VR. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
all the way
it's crashing
around.
season.
It's
Yeah,
crashing
we got.
season, yeah.
I've had quite a few crashes lately with Steam Link. To be fair, I don't update my Quest headset because they've been breaking the Quest Pro over the last few releases. So I'm glad I'm stuck on V68, but I
Maybe
still
that's
get the PC crashes
maybe
every
that's
so
why
often.
my Quest 2 decided to take a shit because all the updates they've done to it and everything else like this. I can't get it to work. It's junk. It's 5 years
Yeah, it
old
seems
too.
like
Nothing lasts forever. Come on, it's technology. It's just the way
yeah.
it goes.
It's they've been focusing a lot on the Quest 3 lately, which is like, to be fair, good. Like, I mean, they ended up like putting the Quest 1 on life support after what, like a couple years. So it's says they're still supporting, but it's also, I mean, I hope they get to support stuff. Like, they discontinued the Quest Pro, for example, which is like the only really good all-in-one option for eye and face tracking. The rest from the competition either isn't as good, or the software is like not worth like your time.
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, that's good to know. Well, we'll ask you the last
Yeah.
couple questions before we wrap things up. First of which is the name you use in VRChat. Where'd it come from, and why do you still use it?
Aha. I was 12. I was like, I need a cool name for Minecraft, and I looked up how to create cool name, and someone was like, you just mash keys on a keyboard and you keep what sounds good. I was like, I couldn't find anything that sounded good, and I you know how you really want something, and like you just like sort of you just you just like accidentally like end up something that like looks similar, like you want an outcome and you're like accidentally, oh my god, I found the outcome. So there was that really that French web series called Noob, and there was like an MMORPG uh where people how do you say that, like just, I don't know, they're just going about, and there was like a Chinese farmer called Hash, and I thought it sounded really cool, and I was like, oh, I can't find anything else. I'm gonna use that. And it's the web series still continuing, but they've had a few issues. I think I didn't check on them for a while. Like, I think it's been like more than 10 years now. And it was a little baby when I found it.
Oh, well, thank you for
Stuck with it
sharing that.
till now.
It's a really interesting way to get a name. Thank you for sharing with us. Oh,
Appreciate it.
and the avatar you're in, why do you use it? Is there anything about it that means anything to you?
Well, like I said before, I really enjoy the sort of the look of it. He's got like sort of half furry hands, and to sort of reflect the animal thing to him. And then so I ended up landing on that basis because it was like one of the only like male bases that aren't like really buff, or either like too twinky. So I was like, I'm a be this is more me than something else, and people know. Whereas there isn't a lot of us out there jumpies, but we're still out there. So I used that one as a base, and then like made a bunch of cool outfits on them. I even had a thing where I had like the Audra deck from Death Stranding that
Oh,
that moves based on my eye tracking. If I look around,
that's really neat.
yeah, I
Cool.
think Charles like got inspired by it. He's trying to have it controlled by brain stuff. I'm doing the eyes.
Well, that's really neat that you
So
have it done
that's
by
an outfit I
eyes.
really like. Yeah. It's like I want to redo this outfit, but I can't find cool pants for male avatars. So I gotta find something else.
Hmm.
I finish that one someday.
A place I found some cool male pants on for is through the virtual threads group. I like them. That's where I got my clothes.
I gotta write the stuff down that you're suggesting me, because I feel like we're gonna I want to ask you about them later. That way I can get a link and check them out and do the funnies. pants,
Do
and
the
was
funnies.
the club.
We do a lot of funnies. You're gonna watch yourself,
A lot
Ash.
of funnies out
You're
here.
gonna you do a lot of funnies. Yes.
That's sort of the de facto word I think now. It's like we're don't do. It's not something. It's like I do the funnies. That's what we do in here.
Ooh, well, I think the
I
avatar
like to use that word. It's nice.
is a really nice word. Thank you for sharing your bits of your avatar and your story. It was an absolute blast getting to know you and hear your tale. So thank you
Yes.
greatly.
And we appreciate you
Yeah,
being
thank you
here,
very
Ash. We
much.
really do.
It's always great. I really enjoyed Yap. That was really nice and but definitely be down to come down somewhere if you'll ever wanna talk about something else sometime. So
You're
yeah,
always welcome back.
I'm jazzed. It was great.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it. I watched a few podcasts like I said before, and now I'm like yeah, it's gonna be good.
Mm.
Excited.
Well, if anyone in the audience wishes to reach out to find you or any of your other products like the mewing face tracking package you've built, where can they go to find you?
They can find me on Twitter at hash 2305. That's HASH 2305. Or Hashedits booth.pm to buy the stuff. But if you're feeling you want to have get some stuff cheaper, you can also get it on ko-fi.com/Hashedits. I try to have stuff cheaper on there so I can get euros instead of yen, because the value of yen has been going down. So I try to have stuff in euros. But yeah, that and my YouTube Hashedits. I think I got the handle for that. So yeah, Hashedits
Okay.
everywhere except Twitter.
Well, thank you very much, and we'll have all those links for you, the audience member, down below in the Hoobly. What's a thing will bubble down that way. If you just kind of hit show more, you have lots of fun links. Like every single one of Hashedits links will be over there for you to find. Everything for us, the world we're in, and a whole bunch of other fun information for you to find. And this is the part we ask you, the audience member, the question. And I think the question I'll ask you is, what is the most memeiest avatar or thing you've seen on the internet? We'd love to hear about it. We saw actually one of my current favorite avatars, which is the skibbity toilet thing that Hash here built on. It's pretty funny.
Let's go.
So we'd love to see
Striking
hear
Skibidi.
about yours. And with that said, Mr. Raptor, you know the thing.
Yeah, no matter what you do in here, folks, and I keep saying it, do what you desire and have a good time. And if you're like me, being a screw or a nut that I'm standing on, knowing it's a coconut, hopefully the ocean does not pull my ass out and I drown. But I can swim.
Been close
We'll
a couple
talk to you
times.
later. Yeah, I know. And it's really a wave of it all. Knowing line likes puns. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one, folks.